Hey you guys, it's your girl Christina here with Christina Wells Designs, and today it's How To Tuesday. That's right, today I'm going to show you how to choose a sewing machine. Let's go. Okay, you guys, welcome to How To Tuesdays. I'm so glad you're here with me. Ignore my crazy apartment. It's a mess. I'm moving, whatever. So today we're going to talk about how to choose a sewing machine. So I think the first thing we need to do is we need to get over to my sewing table where my sewing machine is. Let's go. Okay, here we are with my babies. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have like 7 or 8 sewing machines. I'm not going to say that I don't. I collect them. I have antique sewing machines. I have older model sewing machines that bring me joy. So I know that I have a lot of sewing machines. You do not need this many sewing machines. But I thought I'd take you on the journey, let you see my machines that I use actively or that I've recently used and how I chose them to help you pick a sewing machine for yourself. Okay, so this is my metal. This is a metal, all metal machine. They don't really make these hardly anymore. This is an all metal 1960s Kenmore. I bought this at a garage sale for like $15. So I didn't pick this machine out of a bevy of machines. I picked this machine because it was inexpensive and it seemed simple, right? Dial, dial, dial. Looked like I could thread it and we were good to go. I used this machine for many years. I basically just did straight stitches. One day I looked up in the book how to do a secondary stitch. And that's as far as I ever went on this machine because this machine needed some attention, right? An all metal machine, she's gonna have a lot of metal moving parts. And so she just kind of struggled with the frequency that I was using her. So I upgraded, let me take you to the next level here, to this bad girl right here. So this is my Singer Fashion Mate. I love this machine, especially, here, let me get you a little closer. There you go, you can see her good. This is the Singer Fashion Mate. I adore this machine. When I bought her, she was right around the $100 mark. I will look up and see, I think she's right in that same range, like 109. So she's very cost effective. Also, very big letters, obvious what's happening on each part of the machine. She's a plastic machine. She's lightweight. So if you have like bad shoulders or you don't want to carry heavy things, this is a really great machine. She has multiple stitch options. Here's what I'll tell you. When I chose this machine, it was because number 1, I wanted something that I could do a few different stitches on. Number 2, I didn't want something metal that was going to have the struggles that my Kenmore had. And number 3, I wanted something lightweight because that was a big problem for me. I didn't have a dedicated sewing area. And so I was constantly having to like get the table out, hoist up my heavy machine, get it all set up so I could start to sew. And this machine just seemed like a great option, and she really is. When you're picking a machine, the first thing I will tell you is think about not just what you're doing right now, but what you plan to do. So for example, today you may be doing repairs. Maybe you can repair stuff in clothes and you'd like to go from hand sewing to a sewing machine. You feel ready to make that jump. But maybe think about it. Would you ever want to make clothes? Would you ever want to make bags? Would you ever want to make pillowcases? Would you ever want to make like a Halloween costume? Or there's something really popular right now called thrift flipping. Do you want to thrift flip? Do you want to go to the thrift store, find some dress that looks a little outdated and take the waist in or cut it short and give it a hem or turn it into a top and a skirt? And that's something that a sewing machine is going to allow you to do. So try not to limit yourself to only where you are right now, but also try not to overbuy, like, oh, I'm going to buy a machine that can also do embroidery. Well, if you're not really doing that, that's a huge financial commitment that you're not even close to that place in your sewing journey. So that's what this sewing machine was for me. I knew I wanted a few different stitches. I knew I wanted to have a lighter weight machine. I knew that I wanted to be able to easily thread her. Like, I don't like super complicated machines, and I also am not a fan of machines that do things for me. I want to sew. I don't want you to like do it for me. If you like that, get that. If you want a screen and you go beep, 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 and hit enter and it sews the whole outfit, boo, get it. Do you all day, okay? But for me, this was a really simple machine. So every machine is going to have, and I'm just going to show you this really quickly so you can get an idea. So obviously you have where you put your thread, right? So I'm going to lean her forward. So you have where you put your thread right here. And then you thread the machine, which I'm going to make a video on teaching you how to thread your machine. You thread your machine and it comes down here to your needle, right? Then you're going to have a tension knob on every machine. You're going to have a stitch width or needle placement, which is either how wide do you want a zigzag to be, or do you want your needle more to the left or more to the right? And then you're going to have a stitch length, which is distance between each stitch. Then you're going to have a stitch selector. And most likely on your stitch selector, see how there's these different colors on mine? I don't know if you can see it. Let me bring her a little closer. So you see how she has these different colors on her stitches right here? Well, each one of these, think of it like a shift key. So if I flip the switch to this red, now if I'm on the red, that's the shift button. And now all the red stitches are in act. And if I go to the blue, now all the blue stitches are able to be utilized. So she had lots of stitch choices. You see from me, you see how light she is. She's a very light machine. I don't like to carry heavy things on that shoulder. And that's Fashion Mate. I'm going to tell you, her name is the Fashionista. I love her. I love her. But during 2019, 2020, I started doing, for the first time ever, commissions. Look, I must slide over this way. Let me move you guys over so you can see her. And I started taking in sewing work. So for the first time ever, I'm sewing for other people. But when you start sewing for other people, now it matters, like what the inside of your garment looks like, what your finishing stitches look like. And I needed a machine that could do heavier duty stuff. So I actually, for Mother's Day, asked all of my family members, and my youngest son headed up the project, and everyone collectively joined together and they bought me this machine. Okay, here we go. So this is a Husqvarna Viking Emerald 118. This is a beast. Oh, I'm obsessed with this machine. I've made a couple modifications to it. One I will show you that I love is that over here, I actually, do you see this? Do you see this? I mounted an LED strip on the machine itself so that I can have more light here in this area. I also have an OT light, which I'll show you some other time, but I am obsessed with this machine. This is a modification. I added this. So this machine, I'm going to tell you how they sold me on this machine. The lady at the Husqvarna Viking section in the store, which this was, I bought this at the Joann's in Bay Area. She took 6 layers of blue jean and she folded it in half. And she sewed it on this machine. And this machine was like, no. Oh, baby. I was like, give her to me right now. Getting this machine was like a breath of fresh air for me because as much as I really enjoyed the Fashion Mate, she's great. The Fashionista, she's great for cottons and knits and other simple fabrics. But once I tried to put sequins on here, she kind of struggled with that just because she's not, made for that kind of heavy duty material. So again, if you are an experienced sewer and you have a machine that is a nice $100 to $200 range machine and it's made you very happy, but now you're ready to upgrade, let me upgrade you. This was the step I took. Great reviews. There's an Emerald 116 as well as an Emerald 118. This is a heavier machine, but I now have a dedicated sewing area, so it's okay. But look, she's got a list of stitches and what feet to use. She came with multiple feet here. I mean, I get excited. You see though, even as I get on a higher end machine, what do I have? I've got my stitch length, I've got my stitches, I've got my stitch width, and I've got my tension. You're always gonna have these same dials. I recently was at the Husqvarna Viking section at Joann's and they were showing me an even newer machine that they have. And that machine has no dials and it has all buttons. I'm not quite there yet. This machine is exactly where I'm at right now. But maybe if you're somebody that has already had like a heavy duty machine, maybe you have a really great brother. Brother has a lot of really great machines that are bigger, more like heavy duty Singer machines that you can get. Those are brands that I really like. These are brands that I've used and I've purchased. I really don't try to recommend things that I don't personally use or like. I just don't think that it's fair. If someone just gives me something, I don't want to just recommend it. I want to show you what I personally have spent my hard-earned money on before I tell you to spend your hard money on it. So, so this was a present, like I said, for my family, but I had been shopping for machines for a while, and this one I was very much sold on. I call her Huskarina because she be getting through that material. So like I said, when you're choosing a sewing machine, number one, weight. As much as you don't realize it, picking up a heavy machine, it can take a toll and it can be a barrier to your sewing. You don't want that to happen. Number two, if you don't have a dedicated sewing area, don't buy yourself some big complicated machine that you have to like wheel out every few days or every few weeks, because you'll find yourself less likely to do it and you'll find yourself not wanting to sew. Another thing I'll tell you is complicated. Like what level of, complicated dials, buttons, like if that's something that you don't enjoy or you don't want to be overwhelmed by options, then choose a machine with fewer options. Nothing says you need to have 118 stitches to sew. Honey, for many, many years, I made a mini dress with a straight stitch and a zigzag. Okay? So you do not feel like you need to have this very complicated machine in order to be a successful sewer. Then let's see what else I would think about. Price. I always tell people sewing doesn't have to be expensive. Back here, my Kenmore, $15. Like if you see, there are sewing machines on Amazon. I saw a sewing machine kit. It had everything you need to start. It was a very small machine, but it only had one stitch and it was $99. It came with thread, needles, all kinds of stuff. So if that's what's more where you're at right now, then you need to pick a machine that meets you where you're at and gives you a little bit of space to grow. Tell me the first machine you ever got down in the comments and tell me your favorite machine as well. All right, you guys, happy sewing. Do not give up. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please take a moment, like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you can know every time we release a video every Tuesday on How To Tuesdays. And if you're seeing this on Facebook or Instagram, please give it a like and a share so that we can help people who want to create all over the place learn how. All right, you guys, thank you so much for following, and I'll see you next week. Bye.